Okay, let's take a look at these first assignments. This covers the colors as well as the essay number 1. If on your colors you made 100%, you are in awesome shape, regardless of what your score was on essay number 1. That shows us that you are brilliant. Now, let's look at essay number 1. In essay number 1, a few people did not edit the essays, and it was apparent from the opening sentence. Because you are brilliant, and I want you to constantly go back to that, regardless of what your grade was. Remember, essay number 1 is 10% of your grade. No, you may not resubmit essay number 1. The reason is that I have given you several opportunities to turn in assignments again, but it is not fair to anyone in the class to allow any students to submit an essay and ask me to grade it again after everyone else submitted one essay and received 1 grade. So please don't ask me if you can resubmit essay number 1. What we want to do is use that as a springboard to move forward so that by the time you get to essay number 2, there will be no mistakes or errors. The things that I see are students who rushed through writing the essay and submitted it without reading it out loud, without completing any of the editing work that's necessary. I also see a few people who are not taking advantage of the free resources available to you through the campus. There are fantastic resources that are absolutely free for you to receive help on these assignments. So I'm going to go over the problems that I see. Even if you made 100% on the essay, and many of you did, I still want you to watch all of this tutorial and review all of the things that I'm going to cover so that as you move forward you can continue to build on what you've accomplished so far. If you did not do well on essay number 1, I want you to look at these comments and see what you can apply to yourself as you move forward, knowing that going back to that colors assignment, you are already brilliant. You just need to spend some time and effort on these assignments. So let's take a look at the most glaring things that I see, and then we're going to move forward on to the next assignment. The first error, and I'm not going to go over this again this semester, but I am going to go through it again, and I've gone through this many times, and there are pages in the website on the classroom module pages for you to study this. EasyBib is the easiest website in the world, and some of you are not following the instructions, and that's why you end up with something that says works cited. There's no spaces, there's no indentation. So remember, we want to make sure that it's the current MLA format. Everything is alphabetical, and then we want to check the boxes. The reason that we want to do that is make sure that everything that we are citing is something that we used or opened. I noticed that some of you did not include a citation for the definition of the word bias. And since we know that as human beings, we don't know anything unless we've researched it, that's a problem. So there should have been a citation included that showed a definition of bias from an article. Not a dictionary definition, but an article that you accessed in your research on bias. And so that would have been something like this. Let me go away from here just a second. Here I am on Google, and what I would have done at the very beginning of the exercise is typed in what is bias, and that would have brought up a whole list of different access points. I don't want to use the dictionary definition because I'm writing a university college level expository essay, and therefore I need to have an actual website that discusses bias I don't ever want to use Wikipedia because it's not a valid source. I don't want to use your dictionary, so I need to come down here, and I don't want to do a study.com. I want to go down here and find a vetted source. This one is possible. There's a lot of dictionary definitions, so I have to go through here to find something that's vetted. Vetted means that it's a legitimate resource. Now let's go back to EasyBib. I'm using an example from a different project to show you again how we do this. We've ticked all of the boxes. We do export, and under select here, we always select Microsoft Word, and then we click export. The Works Cited will show up in the lower tray of the computer, and when we click on that, the document will open just like this. Once the document has opened, we want to make sure that we enable editing to make sure that nothing in the website is a URL hyperlink. Now, since we have already done this as a Word document, it's not going to show up as a hyper document. It's going to show up in the proper format for MLA Word. Enable editing. We're going to go through here and make sure that nothing is all caps. It all looks good. Notice the indentations. Many of you did not include that because some of you did not go through and click that through choice. The next issues that I see are grammatical in nature. Remember that by the time you take English 103, you are to have completed the prerequisite skills for the course. That means that you already understand outlining, that you already understand paragraph development, and that you already understand sentence structure in construction. When you look at the course, there were a number of pages in the Start Here menu for you to study. Included in that were the How to Submit PDF documents and instructions for how to read the course. There's also a page called How to Select Images, Qualitative Analysis. Many of you, I'm going to say 96% of you, selected title images that were excellent. One that comes to mind was one on global warming, and the title image was sensational. There was no question about what that essay was going to be about. If you pulled that image out of context and looked at it, you would know exactly what that essay was about, and that's precisely what we were looking for. So this is something you should have already studied. Then we have our discussion boards, and down here were the study materials. And I see evidence, because you are brilliant, that suggests that some of you have not read and studied these study materials. This page discussed documenting in EasyBib, what research is, and that sort of thing. Assignment submission requirements, essay writing tools, word count. Everybody included a word count. Isn't that fantastic? How to punctuate titles. Many of you did not punctuate the titles correctly. Expository essays. What is point of view? I explain in there that you never, ever use we, our, us, all of us, your, you. Never. And yet I see essay after essay where students have not studied this page. Then we have the narrative essays, which is coming up later, so we'll move past that. This entire page was about how to revise your essay, how to edit your content. And I see evidence that many of you did not edit your content. You wrote it, submitted it, and I didn't see where there was a lot of editing that would have taken place had you read your essay out loud. Creating the perfect works cited with EasyBib. That's another tutorial on EasyBib. How to cite sources in an essay. So these are some problems that I see, and the grammatical problems were noted with a few examples. Since this is an advanced course and not a basic writing skills course, the expectation is that students understand how to write sentences and how to develop paragraphs. This is not a course where anything other than content, the quality of content, and the delivery of that content and grammatical, clear content is graded. So what you wanted to do is, prior to submitting the essay, make use of all of those campus resources that are absolutely free, and get help with the grammatical side of your essay before you submit it to an advanced course. Here is the module for the essay that you just submitted. This page indicated how to evaluate current events. This is the objectives for this assignment. This was an exercise. This is the current documentary overview video tutorial. Analyzing film study. What is bias? You cannot quote from this page. You needed to find research of your own, which you will see from that page on what is research. My reading page, which is simply a page that you open while you're studying so that that time is registered on your user account. Essay number 1 was a documentary which was to be submitted here. In that submission page is a PDF. The PDF indicates what you are to do for this essay. Go to Google and find a working definition of bias. And that working definition is something that you would add to your bibliography, your works cited page. Then there was to be one paragraph that summarizes the documentary in your own words, and a next paragraph that explains the bias of this documentary. Now I'm looking at the video tutorial that accompanies the assignment. And in that video tutorial, you can see where I have showed you exactly how to create the works cited for this essay. Notice that that is timestamp 3/26 in that PDF, or in that video tutorial. Notice in that video tutorial where we go over the documentary requirements. Some of those were indicated in the PDF, others are specified here. The essay was to be somewhere between 700 and 1,000 words. In the works word count page on the website, you would have seen to calculate your revisions and put in a total word count. Some of you did that, some of you didn't. If you did not do that, then you will get credit for the total number of words that you showed on the word count. This is on timestamp 4/21 in the video tutorial. Remember that for every assignment in the course, there are PDF instructions and video tutorials. Both of those elements combined show you what is required for an assignment. And that is what you need to follow for each and every item that is due. So as we move forward, I don't want those of you who didn't do well to be discouraged. I want you to move forward and get on with the next project, and remember to follow the instructions to the letter, step by step. In each module for each assignment, there are pages that are important and informative. I don't include anything that is junk in the modules. And as everything builds on the thing that came before, I can see where students studied everything, and that shows in the work that is submitted. So that concludes this tutorial. Move forward on to the next project, and we will all learn from what came before. you will receive a grade, a rubric grade, as well as comments for this assignment. That concludes this tutorial.